Hey guys, today I'm going to go over a bit of a story time, or in this case, using an analogy to explain a concept in the weight room. One thing that I do quite often, I give an analogy of a trampoline to many of our youth athletes. Many times these guys don't quite understand enough of their sport in the actual sport-specific context to have all these analogies come across in terms of specificity, importance, priority, etc. But when we translate to something fun that they want to do more and more, well, it makes that much more sense to them, and they can even understand more interactions outside the context of only their sport. So what I want to get the point across is the trampoline analogy. First, over on this side, this imaginary side, we have the concept of ground reaction force. Whenever we do deadlifts, whenever we do squats, jumping, sprinting, etc., you're going to interact with the ground. So this is a plain old truth, plain old fact. You're going to have to push force into the ground in order for the ground to push back at you. Long story short, if you do your deadlift and you do something like this, you might be feeling some things that are not related to your legs. You might be feeling your lower back, you might be feeling your shoulders, your pecs, whatever it may be, or neck, or any of these accessory related muscles, as opposed to feeling the glutes, hamstrings, quads, so on and so forth. Those are the prime movers within the context of the deadlift, as opposed to the neck muscles, the upper traps, so on and so forth. You might feel certain strains, etc. So if you are not interacting with the ground properly, you might be feeling those accessory muscles versus the other guys, and some people might even say, I don't feel my glutes, I don't feel my hamstrings. Well, that just means to me you're not using enough of the ground to your advantage in order to lift X amount of weight. And it might be X, or it might be 300, X might be 300 in this case, or some other cases, it might be X plus 15 if you want to lift more than that. So 315 is where we want them at. If you start to feel your neck at 400, well, we need to back it down and make sure we get stronger at the glutes, the hamstrings, etc. And that's another discussion for another time. But when it comes to ground reaction force, the analogy I use for 12-year-olds, so on and so forth, doesn't matter how old you are, I use the analogy anyway, because it teaches individuals how to push into the ground. So this is the analogy. Say you have a trampoline and you want to jump up into the air. How do you do it? Open question. I have the person give me an answer. If they don't give me an answer, I answer for them. So I say to them, hey, if I were to do this, is that a trampoline? Does that look like I jumped on a trampoline? It might be, you might not put much force in the ground, or in this case, the trampoline base, but that's not really that much force. However, if I want to go really, really high, I can't expect to do this. I have to really push into the ground, and if I wanted to do that, the trampoline would go down, and then there would be this thing called kinetic and potential energy that would shoot me way up. Okay, so in that case, I want to have better analogies to help get this point across to many of my youth athletes, because chances are they've probably seen the trampoline or been on one themselves. So with that being said, if I go here, I'm putting force into the ground. That's like very minimal. Now if I go here, and I'm putting a lot of force, and I'm thinking arrows, I'm thinking all these kind of imagery type related visual items going on, and I'm putting force into the ground, well, the earth has to push back at me with whatever amount of force that I put into the ground. Now let's take it to the next level. Now if I wanted to jump really high on this trampoline, more than I can on my own, how do I do it? Open question again. If they don't answer, I'll answer for them. I get a friend, I say, hey, I want you to jump down with me when I hit this first jump, okay? So I'm gonna jump, and then when I go down, you're gonna jump down with me. So the base of the trampoline will go lower and lower and lower. This is called popcorning. I might be a little antiquated with the terms, but in my day, that's what's called. You popcorn somebody to jump really, really high up into the air. So if there was somebody right here, right next to me, they would jump, and then we would be really low in that trampoline base. So we would be getting so much more potential energy. And in this case, I'm here, and then I'm gonna go really high into the air because I'm pushing the ground away to go really high up. Okay, so that's a really straightforward analogy with a very good visual imagery to get the point across of ground reaction force. I use this analogy quite a bit because 12-year-olds, they never took a physics class. A lot of our college athletes never took a physics class, or they never paid attention at least. So in this case, if you use this analogy, you can get the point across that much better, even if it's taking more than 2.5 minutes to get this point across. So why I mentioned 2.5 minutes is because if you take the 2.5 minutes that it takes to explain this story, analogy, etc., this example, they can take this analogy with them wherever they go. Now they can translate it to their sport when they get older. They can translate it to their everyday activities. They can translate it to when they got to move apartments, etc. You got to put force into the ground in order to move an external load, whether it's your body or couch or deadlift bar or whatever else it may be. So take this analogy of the trampoline and the popcorning analogy and take it to that next level in the weight room.